Hello, welcome to the Myers Detox Podcast. My name is Wendy Myers, and on this show, we talk about everything related to heavy metal detoxification, but also alternative health as well. Today, we have Dr. Michele Elgersma on the show to talk about using bioenergetics for pet health. And Nest Health Bioenergetics is something I've talked about quite a bit. I'm a co-host of the Supercharged podcast where we talk everything related to bioenergetics because I truly believe it's the future of medicine. It's just helped me so much, and it's also helped my animals as well. So I wanted to share my story with you guys and also talk about a lot of cases that Dr. Elgersma has in her veterinarian practice, and how exactly she is helping animals with this revolutionary protocol. And we're going to talk about how we can use bioenergetics to help pets reduce pain, inflammation, faster recover from surgeries, to help if they have teeth issues, even digestive issues, even emotional trauma, and dogs that maybe have anger, and just every type of animal, and how it can be helped using this revolutionary protocol. And Dr. Elgersma, she is going to be talking about how Nest can give your pets a better quality of life and more comfort in their golden years, how Nest can help reduce pet medications, how Nest can pinpoint and help to reduce emotional issues and, help to calm them, making them overall, healthier, happier pets, and how to use Nest on your pets exactly. And what is Nest, more importantly? What is Nest Health Bioenergetics? How does it work? And what are the treatment protocols and all the 411 on how to use Nest? I know so many of you listening are concerned about heavy metal toxicity and some solutions to detox your body. That's why you're listening to this podcast. I created a quiz to help you very quickly determine your potential levels of heavy metals that you have in your body, and also some solutions on how to detox your body. Simply go to heavymetalsquiz.com, take the 2-minute quiz, and you'll get a free video series after the quiz to give you tips on where to get started and how to detox your body based on your metal levels that we determine in the quiz. Our guest today, Michele Elgersma, she has always been passionate about helping animals, and this drive led her to the Ontario Veterinary College, where she earned a degree in veterinary medicine in 1996. Since graduation, she's worked with a variety of animals: horses, cattle, sheep, goats, pigs, dogs, cats, in various settings such as farms, clinics, racetracks, rescues, and in homes. Over the years, she began to see the limitations of conventional veterinary medicine and decided to focus on holistic methods. Traditional Chinese veterinary medicine, specifically acupuncture, provided an approach to see past the individual issues at hand and instead address the animal as a whole. After a year of study, she earned her certification from the International Veterinary Acupuncture Society. She launched her own practice in the Pittsburgh area, focusing on acupuncture and other holistic therapies, with the mission of bringing strength, health, comfort, and joy to our animals, and to provide the highest quality of life that each one deserves. After working with a dog that was receiving infoceuticals and My Health sessions before coming to her, she recognized the benefit of addressing body fields to promote wellness in both the bodies and minds of animals. Seeing the Nest Health Animal Wellness System as a natural extension to her approach, Dr. Michele completed her certification in the beginning of 2017, adding local and remote bioenergetic consultations to her practice. And I actually did training with her. I met her at a Nest Health training myself. And recognizing that each animal should be helped as an individual, she is dedicated to improving the quality of their lives. And if you like what you hear on the show and you want to work with Michele and have her help your pet, if you can go simply book an appointment by going to store.myersdetox.com. You can search for pets, and you'll find where to book a consultation. Michele, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Oh, well, thank you for asking me. It's really a pleasure to be here, and I'm really excited to talk to you about NES and health and pets.
Yes. And so you are a veterinarian. You're a typical, conventional medical veterinarian, but you're also an acupuncturist for animals, which I think is awesome.
Correct.
And you started using NES. And so before we get into, too much of that, tell us, what your background is. Like, why did you become a veterinarian and then get into acupuncture and the NES health?
Sure. I guess I became a veterinarian because I liked animals, which is why a lot of people get into it. And it just really excited me to work with them. And I worked in conventional practice for 13 years. And you just get tired of the routine, and, you get to a point where you just can't help the animals anymore. And so I started to look for other things. And that's when I came across acupuncture. I know some people who had taken the certification, and I thought, let's do this. It's time for a change in my life. You get to those crossroads, and there's just something you need to do different. And that was what I chose to do. And really learning about acupuncture, Chinese medicine, really opened my eyes to all this alternative world out there. And we call it alternative, but I mean, it really was medicine before what Western medicine came along. And so it's just really exciting to look at animals as a whole rather than a diseased pancreas or a diseased liver or a diseased skin. We can look at the whole pet and really do what's best for them. So, which is kind of where NES comes in as well. It's a more holistic approach to health.
Yes. And so let's talk a little about that, because about NES health, some people listening may not know any idea what NES health is or bioenergetics. So tell us what that is exactly.
Okay. So, bioenergetics, like I say, it's a holistic approach. So it's not what it isn't. It's not a diagnostic tool in terms it's not going to tell you whether your dog has liver disease or whether he's got an eye problem or anything like that. It's holistic. So it's based in, and we're going to talk a little bit about physics. So everything vibrates, every molecule vibrates, and it creates magnetic fields. And as the cells vibrate, organs vibrate, and they all have their own frequencies. So what NES has done is they've identified these frequencies and what is a healthy frequency, and then they can identify what is an unhealthy frequency. And what we can do with NES Health is identifies areas that aren't vibrating correctly, and we can address these vibrations and ask the body to vibrate particular parts in at a particular wavelength, which is what it should be. And this helps with energy transfer through the body, the way things move. It helps processes like energy processing in the cell, detoxing the liver, any kind of process in the body. And so it just helps maintain health. And so it's just a wonderful thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I love NES because I had two dogs. They passed already. It's so sad. But, I had two dogs, Wizard and Jezebel, and I was using NES Health on them because I got frustrated with, say, my dog Jezebel. She was a little Pomeranian, a mini one, and she had lots of intestinal issues. She had bloody diarrhea, and she frequently was in pain, wouldn't eat for a couple of days. And so I would take her to the vet, and it'd be kind of the same routine. Let's do all these tests and spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars and do an x-ray. And then, we didn't find anything. Maybe you should take her to a specialist. Here's your bill for $1,000. And after doing that 4 or 5 times, I thought, they have no answers. They have no clue what's going on. And even if they do know what's going on, if there's not a medication for it, there's nothing we can do. And it's kind of the same routine you get at a conventional medical doctor's office. And so Absolutely. I got to a point where I just didn't take my dogs to the vet. I just did NES Health on them. and their symptoms always resolved or got better. They were happier, and they didn't seem like they were in pain, and they seemed really happy and alert and walking around. And so for me, I just started doing Nest Health on them anytime there was any sort of a problem. So let's talk a little bit about, does Nest Health replace regular veterinary care? I mean, for me, I just got tired of going and not getting answers.
Right.
So I was doing that, but there's definitely a place for regular veterinary care. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. I don't think it replaces regular veterinary care, especially in acute emergency situations. I think that's where Western medicine really shines. So a broken leg or, some acute bloody diarrhea, vomiting. I think there's a place. I think that's where medications can really help. It's the long-term chronic problems that the Western medicine has a problem with, and it's really a great space for something like NES Health. We can come in and we don't necessarily need a diagnosis. We can help the body energetically. We can help the body the way it wants to heal, in the order it wants to heal. And we'll maybe touch on this a little bit more specifically, in that the body has an innate healing mechanism. It wants to heal in a certain way. It wants to heal in a certain order, and that's not always the order that we think it should be. And so by using NES Health and addressing the things that come up in the scan, which we'll talk about, in the order, it helps the body just be more healthy in the way that it wants to be, and it can work through these things and heal itself.
Yeah, and I love Nest. I've been using it personally for going on about 2.5 years now. And
right.
Yeah, and I use it on my daughter Winter, and I use it on my dogs, and I talk about it to everyone that will lend me an ear. But I love it because there's 45 years of research behind it. It's a amazing software program where you just do a biofeedback scan. You can just put I don't have one here, but you can just put the scanner on your dog's, their tummy, on any kind of bare skin. You do the scan.
Actually, you can put it anywhere where it says that it registers a body field. So you can put it on the fur. Some of those thick-haired dogs, you got to get closer to the skin. But I find thin-haired dogs like labs, you can put it on their shoulder or on their side, as long as on the little software it says body field detected, you're fine.
Okay, great. Yeah, I didn't know that. I just would put it on their skin. I'd part their little fur and put it on the skin.
Right.
But yeah, so you do this biofeedback scan, and then it gives you about 450 different data points, and then the software compiles that information, and it shows us the priorities, what need to be worked on right now. And then there's a protocol that you do to correct the issues. Can you talk about the protocol that we do to fix the issues the software sees in the scan?
Sure. There's a couple different things we can do. The first thing we'll talk about is the infaceuticals. So infaceuticals are a liquid. They're just water and organic minerals, and they have the frequencies imprinted on the water molecule. And by taking those, we're gently asking the body to copy those frequencies. And again, those are the frequencies for health, so the correct frequencies, and we have those for different aspects of the body. So that's one way. Another way is by using the MyHealth. And the MyHealth is a device, it can do the scanning as well, but it emits pulsed electromagnetic frequencies. Again, frequencies. And so going by what the scan says, what the software says we can unblock energy blockages within the body and help energy flow better. So communication through the body is much better. So that's sort of the other way that it can do it. And it can also identify some lifestyle, so some changes we might want to make to the lifestyle of the pet.
Yeah, so I have a MyHealth here, and this is one of the protocols that you can use to address the issues found in the scan. And I love this little device because I literally watched a llama melt when I did nest cell training, it was so funny because, you can do a setting on this device. I don't know which setting was done. I think it was chill, and which, relaxes your nervous system, which is really helpful for pets that are anxious or they're scared for some reason, or they have trauma, which my dog Jezebel did. And so my trainer Cyril Burke, he was the one that developed the My Health. They spent about 6 years in development of this thing, and we were doing training, and we had a bunch of pets, like chickens, and there were goats and a llama, and there's like this petting zoo in the parking lot where I was doing the nest training, and he put it on the llama. I mean, the llama was standing and just melted within a minute of him just waving the My Health, because it's sending this communicative information, like operating instructions, so to speak, to calm the llama's nervous system. And that's just one example of what this does. So it can work on immune system functioning and work on liver. It can work on your meridians, clearing energetic blockages, clearing emotional trauma, which a lot of animals have if they've been abused, or they just grew up in a kennel where they were just doing mass breeding operations or what have you. And, so we need that type of work for some of our animals. So can you talk any more about the My Health and what it can do, how it can help?
Sure. I use mine all the time. I think it's fantastic. Again, it helps treat emotional issues, but I find animals very receptive to it. I feel that they can feel it more than people can, because usually the owner's holding the pet when I'm treating it, and the owners don't really notice anything, but the pet will react different when I change to different frequencies. And sometimes they'll get a little bit more agitated if that area is really blocked, or sometimes I'll use like chill or something to calm the nervous system down, like you said, like with that llama, and it'll just help them relax during the rest of the treatment. And it's wonderful. Yeah, I use it a lot.
Yeah, and I used it. So if, like, say my dog would be having an episode, my dog Jezebel,
Yeah.
she'd be having some diarrhea and all, but she had, colitis or intestinal issues. And I do a scan on her, figure out what was going wrong, and get the little treatment protocol in the My Health. And I just do that on her once or twice a day. And she'd noticeably start feeling a lot better. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. And it also helps in sort of acute lamenesses or chronic lame, any kind of lameness. You can do like a general anti-inflammatory protocol. There's a general digestive protocol to do while you're waiting for something else to kick in, like a medication, or you're waiting for a vet appointment, or you're waiting for something else. It's just a nice thing to have to do.
Yeah, and if your animal's in pain, also,
right,
there's protocols you can do depending on where the pain is or what type of pain.
Correct.
And that can, be really, critical, because, you don't want your animal to be in pain. But you and you can use it for like any other thing you can think of that you can use for different health issues.
Really, I mean, inflammation is the basis for a lot of health issues. So teeth or skin. I've used it post-surgical to help healing of a surgical wound that wasn't healing quite right. That helped very quickly. So I've used it for that. Used it for calming a lot of times, but general inflammatory, but a lot of processes in the body are inflammatory. So any kind of itis in the body, it can be used for.
So let's talk about some of the different animals that it can be used for. So can it be used on a turtle or a rat, or what kind of pets are we talking here?
You can use it on anything. Every animal has a body field because everything resonates, right? So you can use it on anything. We all basically have the same parts. But generally, rescue animals are great because we don't know their background, and they do come with a lot of emotional baggage. So they are great because you can really dive into the mind-body relationship and working on that nervous system and calming it down and working through some of their issues. But then there's a lot of dogs in animals in high stress environments. So some is like therapy and service dogs. This can be really useful because it helps them maintain good physiology, good mental, good emotions, and really helps them do their job better. So there's and then working animals, horses, you could use it on cows. I'm sure that would help them. But really any kind of animal. I mean, all our pets are precious to us and they're all like our children, and we can use it on them all. So it will help them all.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Cyril Burke was commissioned to come in and help $1 million bull. And there's a video of this on YouTube. And apparently what they found out later was this guy paid $1 million for this bull to breed it. And it had some sort of pituitary gland where it was producing way too much testosterone, making it super aggressive. And it injured one, I think, or two veterinarians, actually broke one of their collarbones. And then
no one wants that.
Yeah. And so Cyril is using the My Health, and you see this bull just totally calm down.
Yeah.
So that someone could get in there and administer treatment. It's really interesting.
Yeah, that's an amazing video to watch.
Are there any kind of testimonials or kind of experiences that you can tell us where you're really kind of blown away by how the My Health dramatically improved your treatment protocols when working with some of the pets that you work with?
I find it beneficial in all the cases that I do. Certainly one example would be a senior cat that I see. Her name is Mimi. And she, like I say, is a senior cat. And she has periodic digestive issues. Just doesn't want to eat, just feels kind of withdrawn and crappy and just isn't her normal interactive self. And I do a My Health treatment on her. We start her on some infoceuticals, and even the next day, she is feeling much better. She's eating and more interactive. She's usually a very social cat. The next day or the day after, she's back to herself, and it's just really amazing. And then, so that's one example. Another example I have is a middle-aged dog named Buffy. She's a Bichon. She is like the life of the party, but she developed, she is the friendliest dog, and she's the most food-motivated dog I've ever seen too. But she developed SARS, which is an immune condition of the eye where they suddenly go blind. And she was very hesitant. The owner almost thought she had arthritis because she just wasn't getting around very well, and didn't realize she's blind. And we did a couple protocols on her, but the confidence she gained after the infoceuticals was amazing. She gets around like she's a sighted dog now, and she's back to her bouncy, bubbly self. And I believe that the infoceuticals were the thing that really helped her in terms of just making her more confident again, and, being able to live in her new world. So that was fantastic. I think that really contributed to her journey.
Yeah, and one thing I also love about Ness is that if a lot of times you don't know what's wrong with them, and Correct. It can be challenging for the veterinarian to figure out what's wrong with them. So with doing a Ness Health scan, the scan knows this, because the biofeedback scan, the scan doesn't lie. We always know the scan is, there's an 85% correlation between the issues found in the scan and in a human being's known issues. So we know it's highly, highly accurate. And then you can address things that, both pet or the practitioner and owner, or veterinarian and owner, don't know what's going on.
Correct. And I see a lot of animals that have been to multiple veterinarians, specialty clinics. It's like you say, and they either haven't had success treating the problem sufficiently, or they really can't find out what's going on. I just saw a dog today that has been lame in the left hind. It's a 2-year-old dog. It's gone for x-rays, ultrasounds, a couple different vets have examined it, and they have no idea why this dog is lame. This is the third time I saw the dog, and we did the third treatment today, and she is doing great. She is off her NSAIDs. I think she was on Prevocox, and so the owner hasn't been giving that, and she's been doing much better. So again, yes, we have no idea why the dog was lame, but it doesn't matter. we got her feeling better. So, and she's now a happy 2-year-old border collie running around and having a great life. So
that's great.
That was really, that's really amazing to see too.
Yeah, and when I was in training at Nest Health training, I was they were showing us some videos of a horse that had been limping around, and the doctors weren't really sure. They'd been trying to treat it, but no success. And they did one My Health treatment on the horse, and it started running around. I mean, within a few minutes. It's just amazing the turnaround time and improvement of symptoms using Nest Health.
Yeah, horses respond really well to things like that because a lot of their problems are just energy blockages. And so you unblock that energy and they respond really well. So horses are really a great candidate for something like this.
Yeah, and it's all used on champion racehorses. I mean, Nest Health, I know Dr. Steven Sinatra has protocols that he uses with Ness for his champion racehorses. And I know another trainer, Debbie Hart, that has before and after training protocols. So before to energize the horses and after to assist in recovery of the racehorses. So I think that's really interesting.
Right. Yes, absolutely. It's used in show dogs, both performance, like conformation, and also agility dogs. So it's used in animals like that. They respond really well because it does help. It really does help them recover from their exertions.
Yeah. And so let's talk about, does Nest Health replace the need for drugs, for instance?
No, it's certainly not initially. When I first see a patient, we don't change their medications at all. If they're on insulin for diabetes or some kind of liver medication or even some kind of anti-inflammatory, I don't change that right away. I wait until things have improved. Maybe I send them for repeat blood work just to make sure some of those things are better before we take them off. So it's not initially a replacement. By helping the body heal, we can hopefully get them off some of those medications. I have helped diabetic cats get off insulin. And so, we didn't need that medication anymore. And arthritic animals not needing as many pain medications. And so hopefully we reduce some of those things, but initially we're not going to change that. It's not a boom. We don't need them anymore. It's a gradual thing.
Yeah. And are there any kind of really amazing recovery stories that you could tell us of, animals recovering from pretty grave illness or animals that other veterinarians said were just going to pass and then we were able to keep them alive or anything like that?
I don't know if I have any great stories. I think I did have a dachshund one time who was having horrible gas. Like he was so bloated and the doctors couldn't really help him again. Nothing really came up diagnostically. And we did one My Health treatment on him. We didn't even have to do there wasn't time for the infoceuticals to work. And he responded beautifully. Like the next day, he was fine. So that was one. I do see a lot of very senior animals in my practice. And so I believe it helps them with a quality of life near the end. I don't think anything can extend life beyond where it should end. And but I think NES certainly has helped a lot of senior animals just be better emotionally and mentally, more alert, and just more pain-free during that time.
Yeah, because my dog Jezebel was edging up towards 13, and she was a miniature Pomeranian, and she weighed about 4 or 5 pounds. And, you know, she was getting up there, and she had to have her teeth removed at one point. And in the scan, her teeth were always coming up, every single scan. Yeah. Also, her liver would come up, and her intestines, her small intestine would come up, because these were issues I knew she had, that she'd had for years, and they consistently came up in the scan. And I feel like I was able to, I always felt like I was hoping to extend her life with doing Nest Health, it definitely gave her a better quality of life, less pain, and faster recovery from her tooth surgery, and lots of other benefits I was really happy about.
Right. And so I think that's a really good thing about Nest Health, in that it allows us to do that and help them in that way.
Yeah, and my dog Wizard, he had an enlarged heart, and in his Nest scans, his heart kept coming up, his lungs kept coming up, because he was, I took him to the vet just to figure out exactly why this was happening, but in his Nest Health scans, his heart and lungs kept coming up, so it came up often enough, and he had prolonged symptoms. We need to go get this checked out and figure out what's going on. And he ended up having an enlarged heart that was putting pressure on his trachea. So he had this constant kind of urge to cough.
And I have had a cat that I'm seeing right now we've been doing scans, hasn't had a lot of issues. We've just been doing them for health. We started a bit for arthritis in the back, and started coming up, and I believe her bladder came up, and we did a little bit of work, but she ended up having a bladder and kidney infection. So it is correlated with what we see. We can't make I wouldn't diagnose kidney disease often on NES scan, but certainly if something like that keeps coming up, it's like, yes, there's a problem in this field. We need to check this out a little bit more and try to help them a little bit more. So yeah, the scans show what's going on energetically, but it does usually correlate with the physical signs that we see. Sometimes they're a little bit ahead.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing screening tool, because if you said also that if an issue keeps coming up, like the bladder keeps coming up time and time again, maybe it's time to get that checked out. There's something going on there, because the scan is showing energetic blocks. And if that doesn't necessarily mean there's a physical health issue, but if the energetic block has been there long enough, it can cause physical health issues. It can cause a breakdown in communication in that area, and then a breakdown in physical functioning that we can then corroborate and follow up with, conventional medical testing to find out if there actually is an issue that needs to be addressed. Right.
So, and we can affect immunity and sort of look at, is that terrain susceptible to bacteria or viruses? And so we can look at it from that aspect too, in that way.
And so is there anything you want to communicate to the listeners regarding using Nest for their pets, or overcoming any of their maybe thoughts about it that you've encountered working with, probably thousands of animals and their owners?
Some people are a little bit skeptical when I first suggest it, but people see the changes that happen and are just amazed. I also like to suggest that treating your pets is also good for you. I just saw a recent study that showed that in dogs definitely take on their owner's emotions. And so they deal with the same things that, their owner is going through. And so by treating our pets, we're also helping ourselves to, just because of that communication between your pet and yourself. So really, it's good for your health. It's good for their health. And I think it's just a wonderful wellness thing to do.
Yeah, and I also, like I said, love it as an alternative option because I know I got so frustrated going to different veterinarians and looking on Yelp and just and feeling like no matter where I turned, I wasn't getting the answers I was looking for. I wasn't really getting good suggestions for any type of health option for my pets, not with diet, not with medications, not what about supplements. Like, I'm like, where is a functional veterinarian? Like, where is this? Does this exist? And if I took my dog in, do you want vaccinations? No, I don't want vaccinations. It will make them sicker. Thanks. But for me, I was really happy to find this, not only for myself, but for my pets also, because I was just so frustrated and tired of spending thousands and thousands of dollars to get, sorry, we don't know what's wrong. It was just almost ridiculous.
Well, I was going to say, I use it on my pets as well. I have 4 cats, and they don't like to go to the vet. They don't like to go to the office. So I end up using my health and the NES system on my pets. And so, it saves them a few trips to the vet. And so it's been wonderful for me too. I use it a lot. Like I said.
Yeah. And it's also, like you said, one of those things where you can address issues at home. And then if it's still not resolving, then you can go into the vet. Like sometimes if something happens in the middle of the night and you have to go to the emergency veterinarian, for me, a couple times I was able to avoid that because I was able to do a scan and then address the issues with using the My Health, which will give you the ability to treat them right away. With the infaceuticals, you would have to wait. You'd have to do the scan and then order the infaceuticals and have time for them to arrive to your home. So the My Health is really the way to go if you want to have like an instant way to address the issues in the scan with your animal. And so in the My Health, it's an investment, but it's something that I use for my whole family, myself, my child, my friends, my fiance, my animals. So it's something that can be used for the whole family.
Right. And I've done that in sort of the evening, one of my cats throws up and isn't feeling well, and I'll run the little digestive feature on the scanner and on the cat. And by the next morning, he's fine. It's like, great. I gave my cat to an emergency vet as well. And so it's nice to have that option to do that. And I use it on myself. I use it on my husband, anybody. I use it on other pets owners. So it's a wonderful tool. And yes, it's an investment, but I think it's a very excellent one for just what it can do and the benefits that you get out of it.
Yeah. And so again, this is the My Health right here, and it's got almost 200 settings on it that you can use for a variety of issues that come up, even without doing a scan, to kind of figure out, what's exactly going on. If your animal is just kind of anxious, say July 4th fireworks, or you can use the chill. If they're having trouble sleeping, you can put it on sleep. Like you said, digestion, you can do digestion. And there's so many different options that you can use just automatically without doing a scan or without having the software or practitioner to interpret it or what have you.
Absolutely.
This just comes like kind of all in one device here.
Yes, it's a good investment.
Okay, great. Well, Michele, thanks so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate your time and kind of illuminating the benefits of Nest Health Bioenergetics and kind of, using that in at the same time as regular veterinary care, because, we can't replace that. It has its place. We have, infections sometimes and antibiotics or emergency care, or we have to have insulin for our animals or what have you. But Nest Health is a great way to, reduce veterinary expense, perhaps get animals off medication if they need less medication, or help them along with any kind of chronic issues or things that just pop up. And I think it's just an amazing way to address pet care and address your pet's health alternatively in one of the most sophisticated ways available, I personally believe, for pets.
I'm with you 100%. I think it's a great thing to help with their health, with their emotions, with their mental capacity. We love our pets. They're like our children. And, it's important that we keep them healthy and so they can have the best life possible. So it was really a pleasure to talk to you. Spread the word about this because I think it's so important.
Yes. Well, everyone, thanks so much for tuning into the Myers Detox podcast, where every week we talk about topics related to detox and alternative health. And today we'll talk about pets and helping pets alternatively. So thanks for tuning in. You can learn more about me at myersdetox.com. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week.